Hanta chenmanyate hantum, taschenmanyate hatam, ubhautau na vijanito, nayang hanti nahanyate. If the killer thinks of it in terms of killing, and if the killed thinks of it as killed, both of them do not know. It does not kill, nor is it killed. Shankaracharya's Tika. Even though the self is of this kind, still, chet, if, someone who looks upon the mere body as the self, manyate, thinks of it, hantum, for the sake of killing. If he thinks, I shall kill it, and the other who is hataha, killed, chet, if, he too should manyate, think, the self to be hatam, killed, if he thinks, I am killed, ubhautau, both of them equally, na vijanitaha, do not know their own self, because I am this one, nahanti, does not kill, the self being unchangeable. Similarly, nahanyate, it is not killed, because of the very fact of unchangeability, as in the case of space. Therefore, the worldly existence, consisting of virtue and vice, relates merely to the ignorant man. It does not belong to the knower of Brahman, because for him, virtue and vice are inappropriate, both according to Vedic authority and logic. How does one know the self? This is being said. Anoraniyan mahato mahiya natmasya jantor nihito guhayam tamakratu pashyati vita shoko dhatu prasadan mahimana matmanaha. The self that is subtler than the subtle and greater than the great is lodged in the heart of every creature. A desireless man sees that glory of the self through the serenity of the organs, and thereby he becomes free from sorrow. Now the Tika. The self is aniyan, subtler, ano, than the subtle, such as a tiny shyamaka grain, mahiyan, greater, mahataha, than the great, things that have a great dimension, such as the earth. Whatever great or atomic thing there be in the world can possibly be so by being possessed of its reality through that eternal self. When deprived of that self, it is reduced to unreality. Therefore, that very self is subtler than the subtle and greater than the great, for it is conditioned by all names, forms, and activities, which are its limiting adjuncts. And that Atma, self, nihitaha, is lodged, exists as the self, guhayam, in the heart, asya janto, of this creature, in the heart of all beings, beginning from Brahma and ending with a clump of grass. Tam, that self, the means for whose realization are hearing, thinking, and meditation. He sees, who is akratuhu, a desireless man, that is, one who has desisted from all outer objects, seen or unseen. And when this detachment takes place, dhatavaha, the organs such as mind, etc., become composed, the dhatus being so called because of their holding, dharana, to the body. So, dhatu prasadat, through the serenity of these organs, he pashyati, sees, tam mahimanam, that glory, atmanaha, of the self, that is not subject to growth and decay in accordance with the results of work. He sees, that is, he directly realizes the self as I am the self, and thereby he becomes vitashokaha, free from sorrow. Namaste. This is so great, talking about these Upanishads. I think after this series is complete, we go through all 6 chapters of Kaṭhopaniṣad. We're going to go back to Mandukya Upanishad and finish up the final 2 chapters, which are very deep. So this Upanishad will give us the background to understand it. Now, these 2 verses, really the first verse is very similar to verse 18 in the last video, and really should probably have gone with that in the same video. But the thing that I want to point out is in the Tika, he says the reason the self cannot be killed is because of its unchangeability. It never changes. So how can it be killed or born or created, destroyed, or changed in any way? Not possible. So Brahman is the self, and the self continues even after the loss of the body. So if one thinks, oh, I'm killing the self, or if one is killed, one thinks, I'm dead. No, you're not. You just lost an external body, a meat body, a food body. So the one thing that is remarkable about this verse is that there is another very similar verse in Bhagavad Gita with exactly the same designation, 2:19. Here it is. Ya enang veti hantarang yaschainang manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayang hanti nahanyate. So, of course, this is one of those coincidences, right? That 2:19 in both Kaṭhopaniṣad and Bhagavad Gita are almost identical in meaning. But we shouldn't be surprised because the self is everywhere and in everything. And these little rhymes pop up from time to time, these little synchronicities, glitches in the matrix or whatever, just to remind us of that, hey, intelligence is everywhere, self is in everything. So there's no fear, there's no danger, there's no loss. The only thing that we lose if we distract ourselves from the fact that we are the self is our feeling of immortality, our feeling of being fearless, being safe. So we cheat ourselves if we become identified with the body or the senses or the mind, thoughts, words, designations, things, possessions, positions, work, this and that. We cheat ourselves of the tremendous benefits of being identified with the self, which are, first of all, that we are immortal. We are not killed when the body is killed. We are not born when the body is born either. We are timeless, eternal, and all-pervading Brahman. So the next verse is very interesting because it gives a key to attaining the self. The self is lodged in the heart of every creature. Now, a few verses ago, he said it's lodged in the intelligence. So is there a contradiction? No, because he's not talking about the physical heart. He's talking about the heart of the being, not the body. What is the heart of the being? The Vijnana Maya Kosha, the intelligence body. We know Brahman by means of the intelligence. It can be seen or rather understood with the intelligence. Because seeing implies that there's something separate from us that we are perceiving, and that's not so. We are the self. We cannot perceive ourself. There's no mirror that we can put that will reflect the self. However, some of its symptoms, such as the light that we see in meditation, are reflections of the self in the purified mind. Purified mind means right intelligence. And the intelligence is right when it is in line with the Vedic scriptures, when it mirrors the understanding of the Upanishads. So, that intelligence that allows us to see the self is called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi in Bhagavad Gita. Vyavasayatmika means determined, dedicated, focused, steady, unswerving, unflinching intelligence. Because many things will come up, especially from the mind, that try to distract us from meditation on the self. And seeing the self with the intelligence means understanding its nature and position, its relationship with other things, and realizing that the self is transcendental. It's beyond everything. Yet, it mirrors what is placed in front of it through the senses and the mind. This is understanding. This is also a function of intelligence. So by means of intelligence, we can understand the self. And how do we do that? The second part of the verse says, a desireless man sees that glory of the self through the serenity of the organs. Now, the problem is we're not desireless. We're full of all kinds of desires. We want wealth, power, beauty, fame, knowledge, position, designation, all kinds of awards and favors. And we want people to pay attention to us. We want them to listen to us. We want to have influence. We want to have this. We want to have that. It's just endless. But it comes to an end when we accept this process of calming the senses. Now, this is the real meditation. The different exercises and techniques, such as watching the breath and watching the mind and so on, that are meditating techniques, are recommended really to simply distract the mind and get it out of the way while we wait for the senses to calm down. Now, this is the real meditation. And this is what leads to realization. Because, see, in the mode of passion, we try to agitate the senses. We want energy. We want sensation. We want to have certain experiences and so on. We want to experience pleasure and this and that and so on, right? So we agitate the senses by different stimuli. And this, of course, creates suffering in the long run, because, for one thing, the stimuli themselves are suffering, agitation, irritation of the senses. And number two, when they are over, it turns into suffering. For example, sex life. Everybody wants sex life, from animals and insects even, all the way up to people, and even demigods. And it's very exciting. It's very pleasurable. The only thing about it is it's temporary. So when it's over, there's suffering. There's a beautiful bossa nova song by Tom Jobim, and he says, but love is very sad, the saddest thing when it's over. And it's always going to be over. I mean, even if you have like the perfect relationship with the perfect partner, someday either you're going to die or they're going to die. This is just the facts. Yeah, these are the facts of life, kid. And the failure of love is one of the strongest motivating forces in human life. You look at every successful person, read their biography. Every person that has a pronounced, strong drive in their life. And we find that they had an early traumatic experience where they lost love. Some relationship they had didn't work out. What's his name? Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Well, I have my own story. You see me as a very motivated guy, right? I've stuck to meditation and research on the Vedic literatures all these years, decades, my whole life, really. Why? Because very early in life, when I was just before 2 years of age, I had a tremendous emotional loss of a love partner. Of course, it wasn't sexual love, but still, this created a traumatic experience that turned into a drive that pushed me my whole life to find the actual source of happiness. That happiness which does not go away with the changes in the material world. Because everything in the material world changes. Like I said, even at the outmost extreme, you are going to die or your partner is going to die. So, there is no permanent, everlasting love in this world. Period. Get over it. And the answer to all of this is to pursue that divine love, that love supreme, a love supreme that we talked about in the last episode. But you should also listen to John Coltrane's version because it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And he puts this love into music in such a great way. This was such a tremendous influence on me. I knew all those guys. And they were all reading Vedanta and Buddha Suttas back in the 1950s and 60s. The recording studio, Rudy Van Gelder's recording studio, used to be like a mile from my house. So I used to go out there and hang out as an aspiring musician and meet the people doing the sessions. These guys were all into Eastern philosophy. You would not read it in their authorized biographies because for one reason or another, the writers wanted to play it down. But they were very serious about it. Yeah, they were also serious about drugs and sex. But these were the guys on the cutting edge of jazz, the cutting edge of really Western society in general, and certainly the cutting edge of philosophy, understanding of the world and life. And what were they reading? Vedanta, Upanishads, Buddha Suttas. It didn't make a big impression on me at the time, or at least I didn't think so. But in the long run, it turned out to be what put me on this path. And one of the things that motivated me to continue until the end, because I could see the great inspiration that they got from simply reading about this philosophy. They didn't really practice it much, but they discussed it all the time. When they were on the road, especially on a long car ride from one city to another, they would talk about the books they read and the things they understood from it. This they told me themselves. So these are the things that motivate people to achieve great things, such as enlightenment and giving the means, quieting the senses, quieting the mind, simply by waiting without desire, leads to the greatest enlightenment. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum. Om Namah Shivaya.